I'm here in Athens, walking down this side street. There's apparently this little bakery, restaurant, toy store, coffee shop called the Little Kook. It's currently a Halloween theme. Apparently they change the theme 3 times per year. Anyway, as we're here in Athens, let's walk around and see some more of the city. There's kind of a main city center here where all the tourists stay, which is by all of the famous Greek ruins. And within that part of town, there's kind of this nightclub district, and I think that's where my Airbnb is. It's pretty colorful here. A lot of the shops are currently closed, where of course later on today they'll be starting to open, and lots of these clubs will be open late into the night. So we've left our quaint little, not quiet neighborhood behind, and then 5-minute walk. We're now in the shadow of the Acropolis. We kind of arrived in this small square, passing by Hadrian's library. This section doesn't look too big. Maybe it's just the size of a couple of football fields. There's a ticket office at the entryway there to Hadrian's library, where you can buy a combo ticket to go inside of the library and the Acropolis, and also gain access to a few other points here in Athens. I feel like I can get a pretty good view of it from even outside the fence walking by. There's a place here where you can get a foot bath and stick your feet in the bath, and there's these little minnows and stuff swimming around. It's called Dr. Fish. I walked by it, saw some people in there having their toes swimming with the fish. We kept walking, and then after about 10 to 15 minutes, come across Hadrian's Arch. It's made of marble, and it lies on an ancient street that led from the old city of Athens to the new section built by Hadrian. It was constructed by the Athenians in AD 131 to 132. Right across from Hadrian's Arch, we have the Temple of Zeus. At this point, it's nothing more than some columns. Some of the columns are still standing, other ones are laying on the ground. We saw earlier you could buy that combo ticket on the street. You can also buy it here at the gate to the Temple of Olympian Zeus, kind of Zeus's temple. Anyway, the combo ticket costs 30 euros. Gets you access to Temple of Olympian Zeus, Hadrian's library, the Agoras, maybe a couple other places. Of course, the Acropolis. Seems like a pretty good deal. But by the way, today I didn't have to pay anything to get inside of Olympian. They just have free tickets at the gate. I asked them why. They said it's a heritage and cultural day. And just down the street from Zeus's temple, it's Kallimarmaro, the world's only white marble stadium. It's also the stadium of the first modern Olympic Games. If you want to get inside, there's a small entrance fee. You buy a ticket at the booth, which is on the plaza here. Walking through this park now, I'm sure you've heard the story of Marathon and the messenger who ran from Marathon to Athens to deliver the message that the Greeks were victorious, which, by the way, the word Nike comes from the word for victory in Greek. I heard there was a longer version of the story of Marathon, though, where the person had to go run all the way to Sparta and ask the Spartans for help to win the battle. And then from there they had to go run and ask maybe the generals or the parliament to see if the army could help. And then from there, the leaders of that army were actually not close to the army, so they had to go run over to where the army was located and then tell the army to get involved. And then from there, they ran back to Athens and collapsed after like 240 kilometers after they delivered the message that the Greeks were victorious. Down the street from Kallimarmaro, it's the presidential palace. Out in front, it's the guards. Several times a day they change the guards, and it's very symbolic. Lots of people come to watch. Apparently it's one of the highest honors to be a palace guard. Interestingly though, they only make 8 euros per month, which it's safe to say that's probably a symbolic salary, and the rest of their expenses are paid. Just to give a little bit of context to that, I was told that people here in Athens make about 4 euros per hour, which is the equivalent of about 600 euros per month. And rent here in Athens is actually 500 euros per month. The uniforms on the guards almost looks Turkish. I think it's influenced by the Ottomans, because from 1453, at that time, Greece was part of the Byzantine Empire, but then the capital of the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople, fell to the Sultan conqueror. And so then from 1453 to 1821, Greece was controlled by the Ottomans. We're walking through the park to go to Syntagma Square from the Royal Palace. I see some turtles. I see there's some koi ponds in here. There's some little turtle pools. Lots of little animals right here in the heart of Athens. Syntagma Square on the other side of the street. On the south side of the square, there's a big bus that goes to the airport. It's called the X95, which I had to take that to get here because the underground train, the metro, was on strike when I arrived. But there is a metro stop here too, so usually you can take the train and arrive right to Syntagma Square. And then on the east side of the square, it's the now Parliament building. It's the former Royal Palace, which was built by King Otto. And in front of the Parliament building, it's the tomb of the unknown soldier. And here you can see we also have palace guards. Reading Greek, it's actually not as hard as you might think. Here the word is pharmakio, and there's really only two characters that are different than English. The first one is a phi, and the third one looks like a P, but it's actually the Greek rho. So that first part of the word is phar, and then the rest of it is just the same as English. But if you know how to read Cyrillic, then in this case, you already know how to read 100% of it, because both those letters make the same sound in the Cyrillic alphabet. The Cyrillic alphabet is a combination of the Greek alphabet and the Roman alphabet. I've heard that the word pharmacy in Greek is actually derived from their word for poison, which seems pretty appropriate if you think about it. Another Greek word that's pretty easy to read is the name of this square, Syntagma. The word might look kind of challenging, but again, it only has two letters which are kind of different here. The first one is the sigma, and then the third from the end is the gamma. So the sigma makes a S sound, and the gamma makes a G sound. So with that in mind, you can easily read it as Syntagma. From in front of the Parliament building, I can see the highest point here in Athens, which is not the Acropolis. It's actually Lycabettus. And from here in Syntagma Square, it's about a 20 to 25 minute walk to get to the top. So I'm making my way to the top of Lycabettus. Looking around, the views are pretty good. It's a good hike to get up here. And as I look at these hills here in Greece, can't help but think how much it reminds me of Southern California. I see a hill with some antenna arrays on top of it. It reminds me of beautiful Mount Wilson in the Los Angeles area. Made it to the top of Lycabettus here in Athens. Great view. I can see the Parthenon, I can see the marble stadium. If you took a picture of this hill over here and you just showed me what it looked like as far as the landscape goes, and you told me this is California, I'd believe it. There's a little church up here on the top, and the views go all the way to the coast. You can see the Aegean Sea through the haze. There's a funicular here, but it actually runs inside of a tunnel the entire way, which is why I didn't see it as I was walking up here. After descending Lycabettus Hill, not far from Syntagma Square, behind me now, it's the Academy of Athens. There's actually 3 buildings here, kind of all in a row. The first one here is the Academy of Athens. The one in the middle is what used to be, I think, the University of Athens. Now the university uses it as an administration building. And then the building at the far end is a library building. The Academy of Athens here, you can see all this gold and blue, and there's some red on there. This is an example of what they said that pretty much the rest of the city looked like at one time. So when you think about the Pantheon and the Temple of Zeus. From here, I feel like we're kind of on the north side of the city center, or at least the main touristy center. We're gonna walk back over towards the Acropolis and go back in towards the center of the tourist area. I think it's probably about a 10 to 15 minute walk. Here's Hobby Lobby. I think they have one of those in Fargo. Clearly it must be a member of the same franchise. Fargo and Athens locations. As we're continuing walking here through kind of the heart of Athens, some of these side streets are a little quieter, and of course the intersections are very busy with some of these other cross streets. Lots of shops and food and people. As we continue towards the Acropolis. We're climbing some steps here. Kind of on the way to the Acropolis, there's this little village called Anafiotika. Apparently the little village here, Anafiotika, was made by a group of people from a Greek island here that are known for building, and they were asked to come to Athens because they needed some builders here in Athens. As you look at Anafiotika, you can see that same kind of architecture that you'd probably see on a lot of islands in Greece. And so you can see we're literally just walking right next to people's houses, so try not to disturb anyone as we go up the hill here. Then at the top is really great views all around. Lycabettus in the distance, and then behind me up the hill, it's the Acropolis. Speaking of the Acropolis, let's head back down. And I'll be quiet as I go back through the neighborhood here. But we'll head back down, and then we'll go around the hill. We'll go up top, and we'll visit the Acropolis. Technically, this is the Acropolis of Athens, because most Greek cities had their own Acropolis. After getting inside, we see this stone Roman theater on the southwest slope of the hill. It was built in 161 AD, and they still have shows here very often. Notable rock groups who've performed here are Jethro Tull and Foo Fighters. And here we get our first glimpse of the Parthenon. Construction started in 447 BC and was completed 9 years later. You can head up these stairs at the base of the flagpole and get some great views of Athens. Here's Mount Lycabettus in the distance. The hours of the Acropolis vary depending on the season and the day. Last entry can be as early as 4:30, with the Acropolis closing only 30 minutes later. And if you're there at the end of the day, you'll probably see these soldiers come through to take the flag down. In the distance, we see Olympian, and then in the foreground, it's the Theater of Dionysus. Walking down from the Acropolis onto Iolu Street, I think that's how you say it, takes about 20 to 25 minutes. We're back sort of in the heart of tourist country. Let me try to pronounce it again. I think it's Aeolu. Ask the security guard. To my left, it's Hadrian's library from earlier. Well, there's definitely no shortage of people here. Athens is clearly a big tourist destination. Well, we did it. We made it back to my neighborhood, and we saw some of the more famous sites and landmarks here in Athens, along with some of the really colorful walls, which I wasn't expecting. As always, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what your favorite part is, or if you just want to say hello, I'd love to hear from you, as I'm out here on the journey, and you're out here with me. So, until next time, from Athens, thank you so much for watching. See you soon.